I spent 10,000 hours becoming the greatest wood farmer in Skyblock history. In order to tell you how, we have to go back 3 whole years. From May to November 2020, I embarked on a quest to become #1 in Birchwood Collection. It took a long 6 months and over 48 million wood, but I finally got #1 on November 26th. I gave away all my stuff, made a really successful video, and quit Skyblock. For about 6 months. June 25th, 2021, I got bored. I logged back on to Hypixel with a new goal in mind. Get to Spruce 1 without any help. I had a lot of help from people with both strategies and money during the Birch War, so I wanted to see if I could do a harder challenge with even less help. Spoiler alert, it doesn't go well. I actually started by farming oak wood instead of spruce wood because, well, I need money. Oak was selling for a lot more in the shop at the time, and after a couple days, I had enough money to start farming spruce. By the first week of July, I had set up 28 tier 5 spruce minions and had 4 main goals in mind. Number 1, my legendary monkey pet, which helps me collect more wood when farming by hand, was only level 97. Getting each level of a pet requires exponentially more XP than the last level, which means exponentially more time spent chopping trees by hand. Luckily, I needed to collect a lot of wood by hand anyway because of number 2, I need to get foraging 50. Skyblock has a bunch of different skills you can level up for special perks, but the only one that we care about is foraging. The higher your foraging level is, the more likely you are to get double or even triple logs from each piece of wood you break. I was already at foraging 44 from getting Birch 1, but I wanted to level up as quickly as possible. What am I going to do with all this wood that I'm farming, you might be asking? Well, instead of selling it, I am going to have to invest in number 3. All my minions were currently at tier 5, but I need to upgrade them all the way to tier 11 for maximum output. Just like the pet and skill levels, minion tiers require exponentially more resources. Upgrading a minion from tier 5 to tier 6 costs 2,560 wood, but to get from tier 5 all the way to tier 11, you need more than 160,000. And I'm supposed to do that for 28 minions! That isn't the only thing I have to do for my minions though, I also have to worry about number 4, I have no minion upgrades. My typical setup for each minion is to give it 3 separate boosts to improve performance. A fuel of some type to help it farm faster, diamond spreading to make me extra money, and a super compactor so the minions automatically craft regular logs into enchanted logs, which sell for more money and save inventory space. At the end of the Birch War, I gave away all of my valuable items, including all my diamond spreading and compactors, for a total sum of 0 coins. So now, not only do I have none of the materials I need to restart farming, I'm also broke. I especially need super compactors ASAP, or else my minions are going to keep getting filled up and ruin my collection stats. These 4 tasks took up the entire month of July. At this point, I was collecting 80 to 100,000 wood a day because of a lot of manual farming. I was farming so much by hand that I was able to bring my monkey pet from level 97 to level 100 in less than a week. Sadly, none of that wood that I was collecting was going to get sold just yet. I still have minions to level up, so I'll be surviving on scraps for a few more days. On July 7th, I got my first tier 11 spruce minion, and by the 13th, I had a full set of tier 11s. I also may have blown all my money on July 16th to get them all super compactors. I bounced back within a week though. God bless the Hypixel economy! And started to build a new structure for the minions. So far, all the minions have just been sitting on the top of my carrot farm. Listen, I'm lazy sometimes. But that laziness was about to wear off because of something coming right around the corner. My first number ranking. The way that Skyblock collections work is that you're shown the percent of players that have collected more of a certain material than you have. Let's say I collected 60,000 spruce wood. That would place me in the top 1% of all Skyblock players in spruce wood collection. The percent system eventually changes to whole number rankings once you reach the top 1,000. And on July 28th, I hit number 999 with just under 4 million logs. Things felt better than ever. I was finally turning a profit for the first time since starting this challenge, started using hamster wheels to give all my minions a 50% boost, crossed into foraging level 47, and was quickly climbing to number 1. By the end of July, I was number 797 with 4.5 million wood. August was huge. It was my last chance to spend hours a day online before I had to go back to school and basically let my minions do all the work, so I had to get all my big projects done now. At this point, I had done all I could to maximize minion output without spending tens of millions of coins, so I needed to get creative. It was time to craft the 29th minion slot. Let me try to paint this picture for you. To unlock a new minion slot, you have to craft 50 new minions that you've never crafted before. There's a ton of different minion types in Skyblock that go all the way up to tier 11. For example, in wood alone, there's spruce, birch, oak, jungle, dark oak, and acacia. Crafting all 11 tiers of the 6 wood minions would give you 66 unique minion crafts. With the dozens of minions on Skyblock, getting the 29th minion slot might seem pretty easy, but at this point I had crafted all the low level and common minions. To get the next minion, I wasn't just gonna have to spend a lot of money, I was gonna have to spend a lot of time. Let's do a lightning round. August 6th unlocked the ability to craft select tier 12 minions by spending a few hours hunting animals for pelts in the desert mountains. Each tier 12 costs a few million coins and a couple hours of grinding, but that'll knock down a few more crafts. August 10th, spent all weekend farming manually to afford more minion crafts. I made enough money to completely fill my bank and purse, so now I'm just carrying millions of coins around with me. August 19th, started to work on my gold collection so I could upgrade my bank to hold more money. It's gonna take me a while, but it's better than being risky carrying around a few million coins. August 29th, realized I had unlocked a new minion craft while working on a separate goal that we'll talk about in a minute. I now had the ability to craft all 11 tiers of tarantula minions. Why? It's because of the other major thing I was working on this month. Like I said earlier, I had optimized my minions output to the best of my ability without having to spend tens of millions of coins. The tens of millions of coins that I mentioned was in reference to a minion upgrade I had never gotten before. The Flycatcher. When given to a minion, a Flycatcher increases a minion's output by 20%. By mid-August, my progress on the leaderboard was starting to slow down, and Flycatchers were the boost I needed. Just one problem. A single Flycatcher costs about 13 million coins. And I'm supposed to get 28 of these? It was going to be a long time before I got to 28 Flycatchers, but I had to start somewhere. So, on August 11th, I bought my first Flycatcher and put it into a minion. Wait, what is that? Apparently, in order to use a Flycatcher on a minion, you have to get Spider Slayer 6. That's more of a combat thing, which is the exact opposite of what I've done on Skyblock so far. Each Spider Slayer level puts you up against a more challenging boss for more XP that you have to fight a few dozen times per level. It only took me until level 3 to start dying to them. I have to get to level 6! It took me 5 days. Anyway, got to level 6, started using a Flycatcher, and I unlocked Tarantula minion crafts by accident. Yippee. To recap, by the end of August, I had started working toward the 29th minion slot, upgraded my personal bank for the first time, got my first Flycatcher, and unlocked the ability to actually use it, and I'm now sitting at number 244 with over 11 million spruce wood. Not too bad so far. Oh, that's when the problem started! Month by month time is over. This is the real world, get ready. September hit and so did school. Because of the 1,500 clubs that I was a part of in senior year, I had limited time to worry about Skyblock. Because of that, every day became exactly the same. Wake up, join Skyblock and chop some wood before school, AFK on my island with my ocelot pet that gives the minions a slight speed boost, get home from school, make sure I didn't get kicked from the server, realize I did get kicked and feel bad, rejoin, chop some wood, AFK for the night, go to bed, repeat. Every single day for the next 5 months! A lot of progress was made in these months. By February 1st, I was ranked number 19 in the whole world with 67.1 million spruce wood. I was collecting around 400,000 spruce wood every single day. Couple of good things happened too. September 13th, finally got foraging 50. September 23rd, hit 100 million coins in the bank. November 20th, unlocked the 29th minion slot. I got more Flycatchers, experimented with hyper catalysts, which boost minion speeds by 4 times for 6 hours each, and did some investigative journalism. On November 28th, I found a post on the forums from July about a user number 1 spruce wood with 101 million wood. Even with hypercatalysts, which I was way too poor to afford at the time, it would take me at least 100 days to catch up. I needed to make a decision. I had already spent 6 whole months on this challenge. Do I really want to potentially waste another 6 months trying to catch up to this guy? Survey? Dang it. It was now February, and although the forum post did bum me out a little bit, I was pretty happy with my number 19 standing and my eventual climb to number 1. We'll get to number 1 no matter how long it takes. As long as nothing bad happens. Uh-oh! A trip down the rabbit hole of the Skyblock forums led me to a user named Doom Turtles, who had their collection stats public so that they could show off to the world. Over 300 million spruce wood. Even worse, they're still active. That number is climbing every single day. Doing the math, it would take me at least 5 whole years to catch up to them at our current rates. I can't do it. After 8 long months, 68 million spruce wood, number 18 on the global leaderboards, I had given up. Spruce 1 was dead. But from the ashes of that challenge, a new, far worse one arose. All that time browsing in the Skyblock forums, you see a lot of history. Posts go back all the way to the beginning of Skyblock, the simpler days when getting a high collection ranking only took a few thousand logs. I found so many screenshots from people posting their early top ranks, sometimes being high ranked in multiple collections at once. And it got me thinking. Hypixel Skyblock's been active for a few years now, and holding multiple high rankings is nowhere near as easy as it used to be. People have had years to collect tens of millions of logs. I wonder, is it still possible to hold multiple high rankings at once? Or, to be more concrete, is it possible to be ranked in the top 100 of all 6 wood collections at the same time? After 8 long months, dear viewers, this is where the challenge really begins. I was already well into the top 100 with both spruce and birch, but I still had 4 other woods to collect. Luckily, I already prepared for something like this. Over the past few months, I had secretly been farming all the other wood types by hand and crafting low-level minions of every type. So on February 5th, when I switched over to Acacia, I already had all the minions up to tier 9. Speaking of Acacia, title card. I started with Acacia because I knew it would be the easiest to get in the top 100. No offense, but nobody really likes Acacia. Beside the fact that it sells for basically nothing and is just as worthless as all the other woods, it's just kinda ugly. Because of the world's collective hatred for Acacia, I knew that less people would be farming it. And I was right! I broke into the top 1,000 in less than a week with 2.7 million wood and started flying through the leaderboards. One problem? Acacia sucks. Acacia trees are a little different than any of the other trees. They have this kind of wonky shape to them, and then the leaves grow in a different way. Because of this, leaves were breaking through the lower levels of the minion house into the upper levels. This would just be a minor annoyance if these leaves didn't block minions from placing their trees, which slows down their speed significantly. So, in order to keep a good output, I constructed these sort of cages to force the acacia to spawn in a specific way. For once, this actually worked and will surely never be a problem again later. Anyway, February and most of March flew by without any issue. Because acacia sells for literally no money, I had to resort to farming spruce by hand to afford fuel. I coasted on hamster wheels and manual farming until March 24th. With 17.7 million wood, I was ranked number 93 in the world. With Acacia done for now, I was left with jungle, dark oak, and oak wood. Now that I was halfway through and almost a whole year into this challenge, I was getting a little bored. Here's an idea, let's do 2 at once! Jungle and dark oak are both significantly more popular than acacia wood. Jungle typically sells for a much higher price at the auction, and dark oak is the best wood to farm if you're trying to level up your foraging. I knew these two were going to take me a lot longer. I started out with all my minions at tier 6 and quickly upgraded them over the next 2 weeks. I had 15 dark oak and 14 jungle minions filling the home at this point. Can't exactly call it a pretty sight. We're about to fast forward a few months, but first I want to cover some problems I faced while farming dark oak and jungle. March 31st, hamster wheel prices doubled for some reason, so all my money is just gone. In late April, my acacia ranking fell back below the top 100, so I had to start farming a lot by hand to try to keep it up. This was also the same time that some weird farming glitch started happening where you couldn't break anything 3 blocks above you. It wasn't anything major, but it was really annoying. Anyway, it was now June again, and I was still farming 3 woods simultaneously. I was still outside the top 100 in acacia and was ranked number 455 and 323 in jungle and dark oak respectively. Trying to balance all these rankings is a lot like juggling, except everybody around you only has 1 ball and you have 6. I need a break or I'm going to snap. So on June 13th, I swapped out my minions and started focusing only on dark oak. I spent the rest of June completely focused on dark oak and climbed the leaderboards pretty fast. The only problem I had during these weeks was yet another glitch with the minions. For some reason, some of the saplings the minions planted wouldn't grow and would just sit there. If this happened with all 8 saplings around them, the minion would just stop. I picked up and replaced all the minions, and that fixed the problem. For about a day. So now I had to add break all the glitched minion saplings at least 3 times a day onto my to-do list. But who cares? It's now July 4th.
God bless America!
And I finally hit the top 100 dark oak with over 23 million wood. I waited until I was at number 87 with 25.5 million wood to switch back over to jungle. Jungle and dark oak are very similar in their collection numbers. It took me about 3 weeks of just focusing on dark oak to break into the top 100, so I assumed it would take about the same amount of time for jungle wood. And I was right, except for the fact that I was completely wrong and it took me nearly 3 times as long. After I switched all the minions to jungle, it was just a matter of keeping my foot on the gas until I made it to number 100. Sadly, progress wasn't going nearly as fast as I'd hoped. Like I said, I thought I'd be done with Junglewood within a few weeks, or at the very least by the end of the summer. And like I said, I was very wrong. We've made it to August 24th, the day I move into college. Just a reminder, I started this challenge as a junior in high school. My whole life was changing, and I needed to focus on the real world, not high-pixel Skyblock. Besides, even if I wanted to work on it, I'd have to bring my whole PC with me to college. I brought my whole PC with me to college. 2 weeks later, on September 6th, I hit number 100 in jungle with 42 million wood. As time goes on, it's getting harder and harder to get into the top 100. Over the past 2 months of farming jungle, I had fallen from the top 100 of both acacia and dark oak, and I hadn't even started farming oak wood yet. Beyond all that, though, I was getting tired. I had spent over a year and 3 months on this challenge, making it easily the longest I had ever spent on a challenge. And so I set a goal. I would finish this challenge, get in the top 100 of all 6 woods simultaneously by the end of 2022. With that goal set, it's time to move on to oak.
Bubble bath.
I love birchwood. It makes me happy. Spruce is solid, it's pretty, makes good houses. Jungle and dark oak are both so comfortable and safe. Acacia is there. It's fine. All these woods are fine. Oakwood scares me. It has since day one. It's like the popular kid in school. Oakwood was going to take my lunch money and be proud of it. I knew from the beginning that Oakwood would be the hardest to rank in just because of how popular it was, so I saved it for last. But now with only 3 months left in the year, it was a race against the clock. And only 1 week into that race, problems started. Surprise, the minion glitch from earlier is back. No, not that one one's still happening, the other one. Oak trees have a chance to grow into these massive versions, which, although they look kinda cool, are also kinda catastrophic. The trees were so big that the leaves were not only blocking the minions above them, they were also breaking the dirt blocks? How is that a thing? I had to completely rebuild the minion home, turning those cobblestone cages into full walls of cobblestone and obsidian because the leaves kept breaking the other blocks I tried to use. I also stretched out the whole farm for good measure. Isn't she pretty? Things were good, but slow for the next couple of weeks. September and half of October passed before I got in the top 1,000 with 14 million wood. For comparison, it only took me 2.7 mil to get in the top 1,000 for acacia. I needed to step things up if I was going to finish this by the end of the year. Luckily, I had an idea. The weird thing about farming oakwood manually is that it's not actually part of the park with the rest of the wood types. It's connected to the main island instead. Because of that, I don't get the speed boost that I normally get with my monkey pet, making me the slowest man on the planet. Or island, technically. My idea was this: farmer boots and an obsidian chest plate. Aside from sounding like gibberish, these 2 items also give me a huge speed boost. Farmer boots increase your speed based on your farming skill, and luckily I was already level 25. The obsidian chestplate boosts your speed based on how much obsidian you have in your inventory, so I'm all set. The only thing moving faster than me at this point was time. In November, I switched my fuel from hamster wheels to hyper catalyst to give my minions the most power I could. By the end of November, I was at number 365 and broke. I had to somehow find a way to move up 250 spots. It seemed impossible, but I had to try. Anytime outside of homework and class, I was farming. I was chopping hundreds of thousands of logs by hand every day and collecting millions more. I even spent my whole Christmas break farming. It was getting bad. I did everything I could, but it wasn't enough. On December 31st, I hit number 199 with 45.7 million logs. Not making the deadline stunk, but just like last February, a new idea came from my failure. I started this challenge on June 25th, 2021. I was out of the top 100 in almost every wood, so beating this challenge was still a ways away. I failed Spruce 1. I failed finishing the challenge before the end of 2022. But I will not fail finishing this challenge before the 2-year anniversary. Let's begin. First up, I need to finish oak. I spent all of January and February farming constantly. Fuel prices started skyrocketing and I was nearly broke until an unlikely hero came to save the day. Suddenly, acacia wood was worth over 4,000 coins each. That's 4 times more than what any other wood usually sells for. Acacia, I'm sorry I ever insulted you. With the money from Acacia allowing me to afford Hypercatalyst, I got to number 99 in Oakwood on February 21st. March. Since Acacia prices were still high, I decided to focus on that next. I had fallen all the way to the 160s, but by April 7th, I was number 97. 4 woods down, 2 to go. Mid-April, Dark Oak. I started at number 145, but I was on a roll. Screw final exams, I have Minecraft trees to chop. By May 3rd, I got to the top 100 with 33 million Dark Oak wood. May, Jungle Wood. I had been saving up money this whole time out of fear that wood prices would just randomly drop. But now, the challenge was about to end. So why not spend it all? Hypercatalyst, baby! Every day I crawled closer and closer to the end, higher and higher on the leaderboards. After 2 long years, over 10,000 hours online, it was time. There it is. 2 years of my life. Yes! Ta-da! Can you rank in the top 100 of all 6 wood collections at the same time, even though the rest of Skyblock had a multi-year head start? It took me over 300 million wood, 2 whole years, and a lot of failure to get here. But yeah, it's possible. Thank you for watching. Well, I guess I log off now.